Hello, my name is Hanne Juel. I work at the Yellin College in Jerusalem.
My name is Bart Wagemakers and I'm affiliated to the University of Applied Sciences in Utrecht, the Netherlands.
We would like to share our virtual exchange experience with you today. We have both participated in virtual exchanges before this one. They had, however, not been successful. The framework of the exchanges had been very good, but we had found students who were insecure and passive. In addition, they had also been very critical about what they saw as a lack of participation and commitment from their project partners, mainly the international partners. Back then, we both analyzed what went wrong, and we based our current virtual exchange on our insights. The students that we'd had in our project, both the one we did before and the current one, all belong to Generation Z. These students have they behave differently from earlier generations on the internet. For instance, Generation Z, they were born with the internet in 1995, and then now we all see them now in the college. They have learned to embrace privacy in the use of technology. They're observers before they engage with others. They want to make meaning of their own learning before sharing it with others. And for them, learning should have a broader applicability. It can't just be a practice example. So we took that into consideration when we built our project. It was a virtual exchange project between students in Israel and the Netherlands. The goals for the project were for the students to get acquainted with the idea of using virtual exchange as a teaching tool for developing intercultural competence through discussion in the 21st century classroom. And in addition, we also wanted to give the future teachers hands-on experience with types of tools they might use in their own future classes. So our students, they came from the Netherlands and Israel. And as you can see, they were a very heterogeneous group altogether. You can see we had in the Israeli group, many females, in the Dutch, mostly male. We had English, my group was English teachers, and the Dutch group were history teachers. As of languages, the variety is very large. And so in the student religion, the only thing that you can say that they actually had in common was that they all had to take this course. They were third-year students, and it was a compulsory course for them.
So our project covered 8 weeks and supplemented our courses with telecollaborative tasks. The project consisted of 3 parts. The students got acquainted, they shared and compared cultural aspects and their views on education, and designed a joint project. And at the end, they had a final presentation. During the project, we used tools like Schoology, Zoom, Padlet, and Google Docs. The platform Schoology provided students the task description of each part of the project, and the mixed teams, 3 Israeli and 2 Dutch students, used Google Docs to share their files with team members and with us. And here you see a screenshot of our Schoology platform and the Google Doc files. Zoom served as a platform for online meetings. And Padlet was used for exchanging thoughts and for the final assignment, an online exhibition. And here is a screenshot of the set of rules, the expectations and interests and experience in technology each group posted on Padlet in the first part of the project. For the final assignment, the teams had to build a manual with proactive and reactive measures for teacher and student teachers to use when encountering tense situations in the classroom related to intercultural and sensitive topics. The results were presented in an online exhibition on Padlet, as you can see here. Finally, we had a Zoom meeting where the students reflected on the manuals in the online exhibition and the project as a whole. And thanks to the feedback we received from the students, it was clear to us that they liked the exhibition concept. There are some quotes. I really enjoyed it. It made me feel like I'm a part of it, something big. It was amazing. I never thought I could enjoy an exhibition sitting in my home. At the exhibition, I feel like we all connected in a certain way. For evaluating the project, we use several tools. Ongoing personal reflection in the portfolio. During the project, the students wrote reflections about every stage they went through in a personal digital portfolio. When the project was ended, students filled in an anonymous questionnaire. And during the final meeting in Zoom, the students gave a very constructive feedback that we will use for our future virtual exchanges.
So we had already got the feeling of success from the students in the final meeting. The students had been overwhelmingly satisfied with participating in the project. But we also wanted to see if we had reached the goals that we had set when we started out. As one of our goals had been to develop intercultural competence, we first looked at what the students had said in the final meeting and what they had written in their portfolios. Here are some of the quotes related to that. I have learned more about Jewish and Islamic culture in Israel, but most fascinating part of such conversations is having to realize that your own vision, lifestyle, and opinions aren't as normal and relevant as in other cultures. I found out that Israel and the Netherlands are more similar than I thought at first. And the last one that I'm sharing is in our conversation Zoom meetings, it was not like only talk about school and how we are as a teacher, but it was really to understand other culture. They asked questions, we asked questions about the holiday, about the cultural, everything. We really get to know each other. The answers on the questionnaire confirms what we have found in the portfolios in the final meeting. And here we have just, we've decided to share two of the answers with you today. One, the first graph shows how they feel that they've become better listeners. And the second shows that they also think more about how they can make the other person listen and understand them. Both graphs, as I mentioned, represent a tendency in all the answers and they indicate that our project has reached the goal of developing intercultural competence. Our second aim was that the students would get experience with using different tools in virtual exchange, something that would hopefully lead them to use virtual exchange when they're teaching their own students in the future. We believe that they would find it easier if they had experienced a virtual exchange themselves. And this is what we found. I'm pleasantly surprised with the technology used. And another one said, it was my first time in virtual exchange. It was an interesting experience. Also, from a digital point of view, I learned a lot of things that I didn't know. And the final that we're sharing, the student had already participated. So we had a virtual exchange program already in the college, and this is way beyond. This is way better than what we experienced last time. Also here, the answers from the questionnaire suggest that the virtual exchange have reached the goal. And here we have the graphs from the questionnaire. The students expressed that they found the virtual exchange useful for their future career as a teacher. And also that they feel that they learned a lot from being a part of this virtual exchange. So we know that we've reached the goals, but then the big question is, what actually contributed to this success?
And to determine what aspects contributed to the success of this project, we had a look at the reflections and feedback the students had given us in the portfolio, the anonymous questionnaire, and the final Zoom meeting. We structured the quotes on basis of the content and came to a number of themes that probably contributed to the successful outcome. Here are some quotes. At the end, we all will be teachers, so I think we will be facing cultural issues in our classroom. And this made me realize that if I want to be a teacher, I have to make sure that I know enough about this kind of topics to be able to understand both sides of the story. And this is not my first virtual exchange. The first was not positive because of the platform and the topics that were not relevant. And this time round showed me that virtual exchange can have positive outcome. And these quotes make clear that using a relevant topic is very important. When facilitating telecollaboration with Generation Z, we must take into account 3 features. And first of all, the engaging and meaningful task design. As the project was built around teacher identity, with special focus on developing intercultural competence for dealing with sensitive topics and incidents that might occur in the classroom, the project was relevant for the students, as is illustrated also by this quote. When we talked about the articles, we talked about some really valuable stuff. That's when we had the best conversations. Then another feature, here's a quote. The learning environment ecology was very clear. Working with Drive also went well, so the software worked all fine. This quote refers to another feature which is important to consider when we are incorporating virtual exchange into our courses with Generation Z, the balance between leaders and observers. One of the aspects is to create clear guidance and project structure for the students, as this quote makes clear. Another aspect we organize related to the balance between leaders and observers is the shifting team leadership. Every week, one of the participating partners functioned as team leader. The first week of the project, the Dutch students were responsible for organizing and coordinating the activities which were on the program. The next week, the Israeli acted as team leaders, etc. The shifting team leadership within the teams resulted in an active attitude and avoided a wait-and-see attitude of the participating students, as is illustrated by these quotes. When the Israeli were the team leaders, it went good. When we were the team leaders, we scheduled a meeting by also asking when everybody is available. And I think the system that every week another group is responsible for communication is a good system. And up to now, it works really good. When reading the student's portfolio, we came across quotes related to another important aspect of the balance between leaders and observers: social presence. It was quite easy to get conversations going and learn from each other. And everybody was relaxed. And we were able to have a great conversation about the project and how we all felt about it. I noticed that everybody is trying to be as open-minded and thoughtful as possible. We have some other quotes. Up to now, I enjoy the project. That is mainly due to my group members. We really get along. And once a week meeting, it was really nice to look forward to that. The teams had weekly meetings on Zoom, recorded the meetings and uploaded it in their Google Drive folders. So we were able to observe the meetings the students had afterwards. And on these recordings, we even saw one of the students continue the meeting at the back seat of a car. Amazing. He really enjoyed the meeting. So secondly, the team leader of each team reported the progress to the lecturer. In this way, the students participated seriously in the project and communicated frequently with each other. Gradually, social presence was created and the students were really involved in the project.
So we've already seen that the project was successful. We've also established some of the features that actually made it successful. I'd like to explain the way that we worked. First of all, we met twice in Jerusalem, planning the project, but we also met very, very often over Zoom. We had collaborative planning using Zoom and Google Docs. We constantly replanned. In our weekly meetings, we would sit and talk about if this is a good way to phrase it, should it be phrased differently, should we change it a little bit? So there was a lot of replanning in our weekly meetings. We were also in contact with the students all the time, trying to figure out if they needed any help. And the tasks they were revealed to the students as we went along. They didn't know in the beginning. They knew more or less where we were heading, but they did not know all the details of the project and what they had to do. So when we look at the framework that we use in order to build our project, the only thing that we really didn't do was to dedicate class time for critical analysis of ongoing collaborative exchanges, because we did not meet our students the way that we had planned to meet because of COVID-19. So the big question actually is that when COVID-19 came, it's something that we really hadn't planned for. We have to ask ourselves, is that what really made the project such a success? And we went back to the recordings and to the portfolios to see if how often, or if it even appeared in their portfolios. And I'd like to share a few quotes. One of the students said, being forced to take part in education from a distance because of the corona situation is giving us the opportunity to work on this project. Another student said, obviously, corona was #1 topic right now. I think that it really helped, especially because of corona, to connect to other people. And the last one that I'd like to share is that we got so many topics and such a great experience. You get to know a different culture and other people. I think it also helped, especially because of the corona, to connect to other people, knowing that we had that once a week meeting. It was really good to look forward to. So looking at these quotes, we have to, they were not a lot. It was very rarely mentioned. Corona or COVID-19 was very rarely mentioned in their portfolios. And that has led us to this conclusion, that COVID was only a part of the glue that made the project successful. The way that we had built the project, the fact that the project was only revealed to the students as it went along, they found the material very relevant, and the use of the weekly meetings on Zoom played a much larger part. And with that, we'd like to say that there is hope for a success in virtual exchange even after COVID-19 leaves us for good. And all there's left to say from both of us is thank you.
Thank you.